Hello, good morning. Today I'll be talking about digital accessibility and how we can create digital experiences that everyone can use. In this talk, we'll talk about the core principle of digital accessibility, and we'll also talk about how developers can create more digital experiences and use better accessibility practices. Digital accessibility is about designing websites, applications, and digital content that everyone can use, including people with disabilities. And this includes people with visual, auditory, motor, and cognitive impairments. It's about removing barriers that prevent people from interacting and using technology. The Web Content Accessibility Guidelines, the WCAG, is the internationally recognized standard of web accessibility, and they are centered around 4 core principles of web accessibility, represented by the acronym POUR. The first principle is perceivable. So information and the UI should be presentable to users in a way that they can perceive. So that includes, for example, text alternatives for images for someone who cannot see the image, or captions for videos for someone who cannot hear the audio and the video. The next principle is operable. So the UI components and the navigation should be operable by a variety of input methods, so not just the mouse. So this includes keyboard accessibility. The next principle is understandable. So the information and the operation of the UI must be understandable. This means using clear and concise language, avoiding jargon, and designing the website in a way that it is consistent and predictable. And the last principle is robust. So the content must be robust enough that it can be interpreted reliably by a variety of user agents. So that is browsers, devices, and different assistive technologies. It also means writing code that follows web standards. So things like screen readers and other software can parse and understand that website easily. The WCAG has 3 levels of conformance. The first one being level A, which is the basic level of accessibility. This level addresses the most critical accessibility issues. And if this level is not met, it means that people with disabilities may not even be able to use or may not even be able to use your website. So things included in this level of conformance includes having text alternatives for images, captioning for videos, and being able to use a keyboard to access your website and all of its elements. The next level of conformance is level AA, and it's the most commonly targeted level. This level addresses a wider range of accessibility issues, and it is seen as the minimum acceptable level of accessibility for most websites. Included in this level is sufficient color contrast between the text and the background. Websites that use interactive elements, for example, buttons and form fields, these elements should have clear focus indicators, which allow keyboard users to easily see what is currently being selected. And then a website where the order of content makes sense when read by, for example, a screen reader, so that if a user cannot see the visual layout of the website, they can still rely on the logical order of the content. The last level is level AAA. This is the highest level of accessibility, and it addresses the most complex and nuanced accessibility issues. This would include examples of what would be included in this level is providing sign language interpretation for all video content, a website that uses clear and simple language, avoids jargon and complex sentence structures, a website that provides alternative formats for all of its content. So for example, having an audio version for the text articles, a website that allows users to customize the visual presentation of the content to a very fine degree. So that includes being able to choose your font family, your font size, your font color, the line height, and the spacing as well. So how can developers increase digital accessibility? They can do it by firstly writing semantic HTML. So using HTML for its intended usage. For example, using the button element for buttons instead of using something like the div. By doing so, you provide structure and meaning to your content, which makes it easier for assistive technologies to understand and interpret it. Another way you can do this, providing text alternatives for images. So using this alt attribute to describe the content of the images for screen readers to use. This alt attribute should provide concise and meaningful description of the image so that the user can understand what the information the image is trying to convey. Another way you can improve digital accessibility is by ensuring keyboard accessibility, making sure that the user can navigate the whole website and all of its elements with a keyboard. This is very beneficial for people with motor impairments who cannot use a mouse. The next way would be using sufficient color contrast. Ensure that the text is readable against its background. This is beneficial for people with low vision. Next, you can provide clear and consistent navigation. This will help users understand where they are and how to get where they want to be. This means using clear and descriptive labels, organizing the content in a logical hierarchy, and providing multiple ways for the user to navigate the website. So this will include breadcrumbs, search functionality, and a sitemap. Using ARIA appropriately is another way you can increase accessibility. This can enhance accessibility of dynamic web content and provides additional information to assistive technology about the role, the state, and the properties of the interactive elements. And lastly, you can test your website with assistive technology. By testing it with real screen readers and other assistive technology, that is the best way to ensure that your website is truly accessible. Here's a list if you guys are looking for more information about accessibility. WebAIM provides a wealth of information, tutorials, and tools that you can use about accessibility. W3C Web Accessibility Initiative provides guidelines, techniques, and educational materials. You can use accessibility testing tools, which includes browser extensions and online tools, which can help identify accessibility issues in your code. And lastly, DQ University offers online accessibility tutorials. So in conclusion, digital accessibility should not be an optional extra. By embracing accessible design principles, we can create a more inclusive digital world for everyone. Thank you.